In today's breaking story, Trump world is imploding as a top MAGA member just publicly revolted. That's right. Every day, more and more people are getting absolutely fed up with Donald Trump. How's it going, everybody? Hunter Avalone here with Occupy Democrats. Welcome back to another video. Now, as I was saying, people are absolutely fed up, and we're now seeing more and more fire from the Democrats, and it should absolutely terrify Republicans.
Has to be doing it, but in the appropriations process, we have to get a compromise on these bills that Democrats and Republicans can support. And I think if we did that, we could get the government back open. But on these elections, normally the party in power is going to lose. I mean, you're going to go backwards. But I think what should alarm Republicans is the margins of victory in New Jersey and Virginia. They weren't even close. And you got to look at it. The Democrats are galvanized. They're angry at Doge cuts that were on and off the chaos. They're angry at whether it's the Guard, the National Guard being sent to our cities. I mean, a whole host of issues has galvanized the Democrats, which is somewhat normal. But I think what's concerning is a lot of our swing voters also went back towards Democrats, mainly because they don't see an improvement in the economy. And I think tariffs are part of that problem. And I think the president, by trying to assign blame on the shutdown, I think he's missing the bigger picture on what was the cause of the defeat last night. Right now, a lot of polling shows 50-50 on who to blame, maybe even more blaming the Democrats on the shutdown. But I don't think that was the issue for the losses yesterday. I think it's the galvanized Democrats and swing voters who don't see an improvement in the economy.
And yet it still gets better for Democrats and worse for Republicans.
You get universal child care. Perhaps. I mean, universal pre-K ended up being a huge boon for the city and a model for the rest of the country. So I would say wait and see what happens there. But Mamdani was, to some degree, a very small piece of the actual puzzle of election night. It's the biggest piece of what Republicans are arguing. But in reality, when you look at how many elections there were, it's important, but it's in the middle of this. So you have the Virginia and New Jersey models. You have two moderate candidates who both served our country, winning by 15 and 13 points, respectively. Abigail Spanberger's margin is the biggest that they've seen in Virginia since JFK. As Dana pointed out, down ballot, you say, oh, these socialists and these communists. Socialists and communists aren't breaking the Mississippi State Senate supermajority, or retaining the Pennsylvania Supreme Court seats, or getting public commissioners flipping seats in Georgia by 20 points, school boards, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, in New Hampshire. Those are not people voting for those folks who are interested in socialism, who like Marxism. And these are educated people, too. They know exactly what they're doing. And they know that the cost of living is unacceptable. And they know that Donald Trump's administration is not serious about fixing their problems.
And now Trump world implodes as a top MAGA member just publicly revolted. That's right. Take a look at today's top story.
Should be concerned about that. That's a political issue.
I think that's legally
the court has to decide if there's legislation that gives the authority to the president. If it is, he can do it. If not, they can't look at the consequences of it or what the outcome is. They have to decide, is that power baked in? Yes or no.
But the consequences will still be there. And I'm just saying that if we have a government right now that is highly inefficient, that is not working, that is going to be a political question that somebody is going to have to be a grown up in the room and have to answer to figure that out.
One of the things that will be fascinating is if the court does strike it down, watch the stock market absolutely explode. Seriously, you'll watch the S&P 500 jump like nobody's business, and the president is then going to be in the awkward position of having to explain why the markets are boosted by the rejection of his key policies.
The best example of that is going to be our American automakers. I mean, you're going to see their stock just explode. You're going to see those people who are doing that type of work, for example, who are building cars from Canada, the United States, and Mexico working together. Their stock, to your point, their stock's going to go through the roof.
So let's be really clear about what just happened. Even Ben Shapiro, one of the most recognizable conservative voices in the country, just openly admitted that Trump's core economic agenda is a joke. Shapiro is essentially saying out loud what every serious economist has been warning for years. These tariffs are not a plan. They're a tax on you, your groceries, your car repairs, your household budget. And now the Supreme Court is signaling that they see it the same way. And here's the irony. If the court blocks Trump's tariffs, the stock market could surge, prices could ease, Businesses could breathe again, which would mean Trump is suddenly forced to explain why the economy improves the moment his policy is removed. That's the awkward part Shapiro is talking about. Think about that. The win for working Americans comes from stopping Trump's agenda. Even the conservative movement sees it. The only question now is whether Trump's base is willing to admit it. Thanks so much for watching. Please click that like button and subscribe to Occupy Democrats so that you can stay informed and help us stop Donald Trump.